Good morning. How are you doing this morning? Welcome to the Angela Lee Show this morning. How are you all doing? And on today's show, we're going to be talking about timings and seasons. And I know that a lot of us know how important timings and seasons are in terms of transformation and evolving, etc. And so that's what we're going to be talking about this morning. So good morning. It's a lovely day today, and it's our spiritual and well-being show. So good morning to you. Whether you are listening on the airways on ellensoulradio.com or whether you are listening on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel. And so let us just play a lovely number for you as we wake up this morning. And let me know how you're doing. This is how we're starting our Sunday morning. So let me know how you are doing this morning. And this morning, I am blessed. I am blessed this morning. I am alive. Happy to be alive this morning. And what about you? Let me know how you are doing this morning. I am blessed this morning. This is how we start our Sunday. So let me know how you are doing this morning. Join in the conversations this morning. We are going to have a lovely conversation this morning. So join in the chat this morning. We're talking about timings and seasons and how important it is for us to understand that. That's what we're talking about this morning. And you know what? I had a late night because I was busy listening to some music. But however, I'm here. Let me know how you're doing this morning. Are you awake this morning? Wake up with me this morning. Wake up with me this morning. How are you doing this morning? Wake up with me. We are blessed this morning. And you know what I'm doing? I'm just sharing this morning. Let's see who's up with me. We are blessed this morning. We've got to shine this morning. We've got to shine this morning. Let me know how you're doing. That's right, the purpose tracing this morning. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about timings and seasons this morning. And we're not going to stress this morning because we're talking about timings and seasons. And I remembered my mother saying nothing before the time. Nothing happens before the time. And sometimes, we can try and force things. And when we try to force things, then we get ourselves into some sticky situations. We get ourselves in trouble because we're trying to speed up the process. We're trying to actually play the universe, in fact. Act as if, we are the ones. I know we're in charge of our lives, but ultimately we need to go with the flow of the universe. And so let me know how you're doing this morning. It's Angela Lee on the Angela Lee Show. And today we're going to be talking about timings and seasons. And I'm going to be joined by the lovely Dawn Crystal, the author of Free to Be Me. She's going to be joining me in about 1/2 and we're going to have a chat about timings and seasons, because sometimes we try to hurry things along and we go against the grain in terms of what the universe is trying to do, what the higher power is trying to do. And we know that it's the higher power that actually got the ultimate control. And sometimes we try to hurry nature, and things are actually aligned to timings and seasons. And so we have to align ourselves to the fact of that. And so this morning, before we do our affirmations, say hello on the thread, eh? Say hello on the thread and let me know how you are doing this morning. I went to bed really late. I was listening to some music show, celebrating my friend Gaffer Blue and Little Minty's birthday celebrations. And I tell you, they were playing some serious music. I was up. I went to bed late. And I'm surprised that I'm actually up this morning, ready to go. So, hey, but I did sleep. I did have a good sleep. So let me know how you are doing. Let me know how you are doing this morning. It's Angela Lee on the Angela Lee Show, Spiritual and Wellbeing Show. Good morning, Carl. Okay, you slept well. Good for you. And Carl, I forgot to tell you that actually Girls on Top, we're on holiday now. We thought we'll take a break in line with the schools breaking up. I broke up last week. I know schools are breaking up this week or in the next 2 weeks. I forgot to tell you, Carl, that we are on holiday. So there's no Girls on Top until the autumn, until the fall, because we're having our summer break holiday a bit early. And so, yeah. And let me know how you are. I mean, I'm looking forward to the break. What about you? And we've got the lockdown ending. Oh, great! You saw that, Carl. Hope you're well. And we know that we're going to have Freedom Day after the 19th, isn't it? Freedom Day. And so let me know how you're feeling about that. Is it going to be Freedom Day or not? But we're going to do our affirmations before we start in a few minutes. So just send me a message and let me know how you're doing this morning. It's me, Angela Lee. I like to chat, like to have a conversation. I don't quite like talking to myself. And so join in the conversations. We're talking about timings and seasons this morning. It's so important for us to be aligned with timings, the right timing and the right season. Because if we don't, we're going to get ourselves in a sticky situation when we try to force timings. Okay, my son doesn't start his school holidays for 2 weeks. Really, 2.5 weeks? Wow, that's long, isn't it? So he's not going to break up right until the end of July. Okay, good morning, Dawn. How you doing? Okay. Yeah, Dawn's tuning in from Norfolk. And as I mentioned, she is the author of Free to Be Me, and she's actually going to be joining me in a few minutes, about 1/2. And we're talking about timings this morning. So let me know how you are. And we're going to do our affirmations in a minute. So wherever you are sitting down, whether you are lying down, whether you are lying down, whether you are sitting down, whether you are in the kitchen making breakfast, whatever you're doing this morning, wake up with me and we're going to do our positive affirmations in a few minutes. Whatever you're doing this morning, we're going to do our positive affirmations in a few minutes. Okay, you said, okay, Liverpool is nice and sunny. It's not really nice where I am, southeast of the river. Okay, you're going to go on a cycle ride. Okay, yeah, that's good, isn't it? Because it's good to keep fit, isn't it, Carl? Yeah, it's really good to keep fit. Okay, this is our spiritual and our well-being show this morning. So good morning to you, all those that are tuning on Facebook Live, on the YouTube channel, and also on ellensoulradio.com. Good morning to you this morning. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'm just starting out, just help the sister out and subscribe. It's Angela Lee, so help me out, subscribe to the channel. Lots of inspirational messages. I've put the shows on there too. And so if you forget to listen or you haven't woken up yet to the show, you can actually listen to back shows. It's all there on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee. And so, yeah, let's join in the conversations this morning. And so before we start this morning, we're going to do, as usual, our affirmations this morning. And so I'm not sure where you are actually situated at home, whether you're lying down in your bed, listening to my voice. Let's do our positive affirmations this morning. Let's take a nice deep breath as we go. Breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling and inhaling out. Here we go. I accept myself exactly as I am now. I accept myself unconditionally. I accept love from myself. I am at peace with where I am. I embrace who I am. I am perfect just as I am. I am creating my own love. I am enough. I am whole. I am constantly growing and evolving and becoming my best self. Isn't that lovely? I am constantly growing, evolving, and becoming my best self. And that's what it is, isn't it, in life, that we grow. We don't stay stagnant, we grow and we evolve and we become the best that we can actually be. We become the best that we can actually be. And that's what we're talking about this morning. We're talking about timings and we're talking about seasons, because it's so important that we align ourselves to that, to the fact of the right time. Sometimes we might go against nature, go against the universe and push to, let things happen, which is actually not the right timing, or it's not in line with the right season. And so the truth is, we outgrow those who don't appreciate us. As we're talking about timings and seasons this morning, we outgrow those that don't really appreciate us. Those who are okay with our absence, those are the people that we outgrow. Those who allow the distance between us and them to grow. Because, if you're in a healthy relationship, you don't want that distance to grow. And so sometimes we outgrow people and we think, what's going on? I thought we were cool, or I thought this was, someone that I can rely on. But sometimes things are all about timings and seasons. And so those who are okay with our absence, we outgrow. Those who allow distance between us and them to grow, we outgrow. We outgrow those who make us feel like we're replaceable. Those are the people we outgrow. We outgrow those who say things what they don't mean. Because we like people to be authentic, to be, talk your real truth, to keep it real. And so we outgrow those people that are pretentious. The truth is, we outgrow those who aren't genuine with us. Pretentious. We outgrow those people. Those who talk the talk but can't walk the walk when we need them beside us. Those people that we're actually trying to rely on, we outgrow them because they're not actually aligning to their words. Those who live a certain side of us but don't want to accept all sides of us. And some people are looking for perfect people. We're all on our separate journeys, and sometimes we outgrow those people that don't accept our holistic self, always finding faults. Those who don't care about our wants and our needs because they're too busy focusing on theirs. We outgrow these people. And sometimes it's about timings and it's about seasons. And we have seasoned friends and we have seasoned colleagues and seasoned people that we're collaborating with. We shouldn't get ourselves upset because we actually outgrow these people. So we outgrow those who make us feel that we're not worth their time and effort. And so if you're feeling that you can't actually invest in spending that quality time with someone that you care about, someone that you love, then guess what? We're going to outgrow you. We outgrow you. Those who are capable of giving so much more, but choose to be stingy with us. So, they have the capacity, they have the resources to help us, but they choose to be stingy with us. We outgrow those people. We keep it moving with these people. Those who put us last on the list of their priorities, we outgrow these people. We're not on their priority list. We're not important. We're right at the bottom of their list. Guess what? We outgrow these people. We keep it moving. As we talk about timings and seasons this morning, it's so important that we don't get caught up with the change of time or with the seasons. Those who take 2 steps backwards every time we move 1 step forward, we outgrow those people. The truth is, we reach a point where we know who we are, what we want, and what we deserve. And we're not willing to go back to selling ourselves short. I'm going to repeat that again. When we know what time of day it is, when we know what season we're on, the truth is we reach a point in our lives where we know who we are, what we want, and what we deserve. And we're not willing to go back to selling ourselves short. So we move on. We move on and we keep it moving because we're not willing to sell ourselves short this morning. We're talking about timings and we're talking about seasons. We're not willing to repeat the same vicious cycle of handing out our hearts to those who don't know how to catch them. And so we want to get off that merry-go-round because we know our worth. And we're not willing to repeat that cycle because our heart is so precious. And so the truth is, we outgrow these people. The truth is, we reach a point where we are self-love trumps any other love. And we're not going to accept and we're not going to compromise what we deserve. And so the truth is, we outgrow these people through timings and through seasons. We choose ourselves even when people don't choose us. And this happens when we have outgrown people. We decide to choose us, to choose me. We decide to put ourselves first. When you've outgrown people, you will know clearly what time of day it is, what season it is, because you do not want to repeat that vicious cycle of going round and round the merry-go-round, and there's no changes taking place, no growth is taking place, no movement is taking place. You're tripping on the same situation. Timings and seasons. This morning, we're talking about that very thing, that it's time for us to take stock. It's time for us to move in step with what time of day it is. We cannot remain stuck in the patterns of the old season, in the cycles of the old season. We need to align ourselves to the new season. And as so many of us know, we are now in the summer season. And so many things happen in the summer season after having left the spring season. We need to be in tune with what time of day it is in terms of timings and seasons. Otherwise, we're going to put ourselves in some sticky, unnecessary situations in terms of our growth and our personal and self-development. And so this morning, wherever you're listening to me, whether you're listening to me on Facebook Live, good morning to you. Whether you're listening to me on my YouTube channel, Angela Lee, good morning to you. And don't forget to subscribe. Or whether you're listening to me on ellensoulradio.com or on StreamYard, the truth is we outgrow those who show us that they're not invested. We outgrow those who show us, and we know this by the manifestations of their behavior. They're not invested in us. They don't value us. And so we outgrow these people, particular people that don't want to try. People that don't want to try. They don't want to make an effort to change, to grow, to evolve. And so we outgrow these people and we keep it moving because the timing has changed. The season has changed. We're not stuck in the old season. We're not stuck in the past. The timings have changed. The season has changed. And so we outgrow these type of people. People that don't want to make an effort. People that don't want to invest in us. People that don't even want to try. We outgrow those who treat us like a pit stop until they find what they're looking for. And there's some people, they treat us as if we're a pit stop. So they just use us, they manipulate us until they find who they're looking for. We outgrow those people. We outgrow those who don't make us feel like they're glad that they've actually found us. Whether it's friendships, whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's a family member, whether it's colleagues or partnership, they meet you and they're not happy that they've actually found you. They're not ecstatic. They don't value you. So guess what? We outgrow those types of people. We outgrow those people that don't value us the way we want to be valued. And if you love yourself, if you appreciate yourself, if you know who you are, if you know what you deserve, then guess what? You're going to outgrow those people who don't value you, how you want to be valued. You know how you want to be treated. You know how you want to be treated. And so if people don't meet that expectation in terms of what you deserve, then guess what? We're going to keep it moving. We're actually outgrow you. We've actually outgrown you. And it's no point arguing or having conflict with people that are not on your level, that are not vibing, that are not, on your frequency. It's cool. They're on a different level. They're on a different journey. Perhaps they're on a different timing. Perhaps they're on a different season. And we're not judging because we're all on our different seasons. We're all on our different journeys. However, it's very important that you know when it's time to step, when it's time for you to move, when it's time for you to evolve, when it's time for you to grow, when it's time for you not to stay stagnant, when it's time for you to avoid procrastination. We're talking about timings, and seasons this morning. And so the truth is, we're capable of giving someone we love the world. But all we need is the reassurance that they won't abuse it, that our hearts are secured with them, that they won't turn into another lie or another mistake. And so that is the truth, that we know what we expect, we know what we deserve, we know our value, we know who we are, and we're not willing to sell ourselves short. And so this morning, if you're listening on ellensoulradio.com on the airways, if you're listening on Facebook Live, if you're listening on the YouTube channel, it's time for us to be aligned with what time of day it is, what season we are now in. And that's what we're talking about this morning. And so this mirrors the human transition through the 4 seasons of life, which are each associated with specific psychological, physical states of beings when we're talking about timing and seasons this morning. It mirrors the transition through the 4 seasons of life. And we've just left spring and we're now in summer. And as we transition from one season to the next, our circumstances, our needs, our mindsets, our actions have to evolve just like the transitions that occur in the environment. So important, so critical that as we transition from one season to the next, that our circumstances, our needs, and our mindsets, fundamentally, our mindsets and our actions, they have to evolve just like the transitions that occur in the environment. And so if you find yourself tripping on the same thing that you were tripping on last season, it means that you need to make you need to make a shift. You need to make the necessary changes in order to align yourself to the right season, because now it's summer. We have to evolve like the transitions that occur in the environment. Very important. Otherwise, we're going to stay stuck. We're going to stay stuck. We're going to stay stagnant. We're not going to grow. We're not going to evolve. People are going to leave us behind if we don't move in alignment, if we don't shift ourselves in terms of the seasons. And that's what we're talking about this morning. And so with me this morning, I've got the amazing Dawn Crystal. She is the author of Free Me, and she's joining me this morning. And so good morning to you, Dawn.
Good morning, Angela. How are you doing, though? You're on fire today.
Yeah, I'm on fire today. I'm doing great. And how have you had a great weekend so far?
I've had a really nice chilled out yesterday afternoon, and then got a proposition, and I thought, well, I've got to go with that. That didn't fall into place, which was interesting with what we're talking about today, about things falling into synchronicity. And Absolutely. I learned something from that. Did you know that you can't set up a standing order on the same day that you want it to go out?
That's something new.
And I think we learn from everything, from what I've been listening to your show this morning, and I'm just thinking how interesting, because often we know these things, don't we, about our seasons, the timings and things about warners, or we've outworn them, or outgrown them, what we want to say it, but we still get stuck in there. Yeah, we still stay stuck. We still try to hold on, and we wonder why. And I was talking to a friend of mine actually yesterday, and we were having a chat, and she was mentioning to me that sometimes we don't set our intentions right, and it impacts on the manifestation of what we're trying to receive, because we're stuck in the old season mindset of thinking. And so William Derrick has mentioned on the thread. Good morning to you, William Derrick. It is important to know when it's time to quit. If you're moving on, it's important that we do, meaning using influences to continue what we've started. This is not moving on. That just another level of dictatorship, or perhaps destabilizing another person's livelihood. When you move on, you have moved on. Sometimes there's that need to change, but there's a hurdle, and the hurdle is the noise coming from the individual who's claimed to move on, but is still psychologically sort of kicking against that change. And so, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we psychologically kick against the change that is necessary, particularly as we are in a new season, as I mentioned. And I'm going to actually reinforce that message again. Very important that as we transition from one season to the next, our circumstances, our needs, our mindsets, and our actions, they have to evolve just like the transitions that occur in the environment. And just imagine if the seasons were not actually changing in the environment, we're going to be actually be in trouble.
Yeah.
It will be a dangerous thing if winter and autumn and spring and summer didn't kick in, and and with all what that looks like in terms of the plant and the animal kingdom, everything will be chaotic, and it's so similar in terms of the transition that we make with our lives. And so, Dawn, sometimes we outgrow people because the timings have changed, the seasons have changed.
That is actually what you need in your life right now is different to what you might have needed a week ago.
Absolutely.
And some of those seasons can be really short, but they're normally, if they're short, they're very profound lessons that we need to learn.
Absolutely.
And I think, for me, one of those regrets, can I say regrets? So I can feel it coming up already, is like sometimes I've walked away from something before I haven't learned the lesson. And I can be impatient. So I use my remedies, the impatience, a lot, because that's me. I want to rush something to make it feel better.
Yeah.
And if we don't learn the lesson from it that we need to learn, often we'll take that into our next episode or season, whatever is coming into our life.
Yes, we have to learn the lesson, or it's going to be repeated, isn't it? It's going to be repeated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we step out of sync from that season, that lesson that we need to learn, and we step out of sync into it, and then we get ourselves into another sticky situation, and we wonder and we ask ourselves, why is this happening to me? It's happening to you because you haven't learnt the lesson of the last season, which is why in this new season you're still going round the vicious circle, because you still haven't learnt the season. And so accepting and evolving alongside these cycles of life allows us to glide through our time on earth effortlessly, knowing that our circumstances are always temporal. And we go through different types of temporal situations, particularly what's happening with COVID. Many of us have lost our jobs. Many of us have made that transition through recession into starting our own business. And so our circumstances are temporal and they change, Dawn.
Yeah, they definitely do. And I think most of us have been thrown a bit off course last year or the year before as well, because of the circumstance that changed, because that was out of our control.
Out of our control completely.
Yeah. But if we're actually, sorry, Tom. Yeah.
Carry on.
If we're in a place where we're more certain of who we are within us, we can adapt our season to go with the seasons that are coming.
That's right, because we know
take
who we
ourselves
are.
into that place, in a stronger place.
Yes. And we've learnt that lesson of the past season. And so if that lesson was going to come around again for us to learn, because we've learnt the lesson the past season in terms of schools and tools and strategies, mindset shifts, then we're able to apply that in the new season, and we're not caught off guard. We're not caught off unaware, because we are prepared now for this new season. And so this mindset allows us to make the best possible use of what we have, rather than resisting these natural transitions. And so seasons are actually natural, because, as I mentioned, it's in conjunction with what happens in nature, what happens in the environment. And so it's something that we can't resist. And so if you have, we've left spring, and spring was all about planting and taking innovation and making those and putting those plans and putting those goals in place and putting those intentions out. Summer is when those buds start showing, Dawn.
They do, absolutely. And for me, I can see how things are starting to gently fall into place. But with my impatient nature, sometimes I actually want to make them happen quicker. And I think that's often where we stumble a lot. And I was sitting in the garden this morning, because I was something that happened this morning which I wasn't expecting. And I thought, no, I've got to just take 10 minutes just to sit. And I was just observing the plants and looking, like you said, they're changing. But at the moment, because the seasons have changed, so the plants are a little bit chaotic. Some that should have been out are not as big as they should be. And some are a little bit dormant and some are gone. And I'm like, God, that's like us. Sometimes we sit in that chaos for so long that we don't realize that this is an opportunity for us to change something.
Absolutely.
So we need to learn so that we can go into that new season.
Yes, because we don't have to remain stuck in that mindset of the old season. And, sometimes you stumble over people, whether it's friends, colleagues, family, and, they're still going on about the last season. And you've actually moved on from that. And they're still, sort of making, it's like a bad record. Keep playing that record over time. And that's last season. We're now in a new season. And if people are not prepared to make that necessary mindset shift, you've outgrown them. And sometimes you feel agitated with people that have not evolved and people that have not grown and people that are still stuck. You feel a sense of agitation. You feel a sense of unsettlement. Dawn, have you experienced this?
Yep, a lot. More than I dare to admit, actually. But, for me, I work with therapies and help people often at the beginning of what I'd call a healing journey, where they feel and they've lost themselves. And often that frustration is with themselves. And I can help someone to get so far and then they don't take the steps for themselves. So they almost become codependent. And sometimes that frustrates me because I can see the potential within somebody and yet they can't see it for themselves. And that's where I think sometimes we have to have so much patience because that person isn't ready yet to take that step. Just because I know that you could go there, it doesn't mean they can.
That's right. And so with that, it doesn't mean that you've got to play this unhealthy form of enabling and rescuing them. You just leave them on there. Not like, you don't love them and you don't care about them, but you leave them to figure it out because, they're on their own separate journey. I mean, obviously, if you can support them, cool. But this unhealthy form of helping, as you mentioned, where, they become codependent on you, and where you actually play that role as caretaker, that role as enabler and rescuer. And because as we know so vitally, the only person that we're responsible for rescuing is ourselves. We're not here to rescue anyone. Everyone is here to rescue themselves. And so important that this mindset shift that is so much needed when we transition from different seasons, that we shift our mindset rather than resisting these natural transitions, which can lead to psychological struggle. And as you mentioned, Dawn, that people have got this inward war within themselves. It's a psychological struggle and it's a weakening of happiness and living that fulfilled life. And so it's because you are battling with yourself in terms of making that shift, that mindset shift and that change.
Yeah, absolutely, Angela. Can I take a moment just because I know there's a lot of people out there who are struggling and I see that every day with the work I do. And you only have to turn on the television and Facebook to see people are really struggling right now. If you find yourself in that place, be honest with yourself. The first thing is be honest. This is where I'm at. I'm feeling like I'm in a pile of poo or whatever you want to call it. And this is where I'm at right now. And it often comes with a tension or uptightness or a funny feeling in your tummy where you don't feel well, your headache. Acknowledge what your body is telling you. And be honest. This is where I'm at right now. And don't see it as wrong. Be really kind to yourself when you realize that. And peel back that layer. Just go into maybe 5 minutes, just deep breathing or a little exercise that we could do in a moment. And just go, okay, this is where I'm at. How can I turn it around? Who can help me? So instead of trying to process it in your head and go, and it gets more extreme, just be honest and go, how can I do something about this? And write it down. Write down everything you're thinking that you feel you're stuck in. Even if it's frustration with somebody else or a client that's not moving on, how can you adapt? So you need to see that in front of you in writing. And from there, you can then stop, walk away from it for a day or two, come back and how can I change this? What do I need to do about it? Because often we're going to talk about some solutions. Thank you, Dawn, for sharing that. We're going to talk about some solutions towards the end of the show. But it's so important, as Dawn mentioned, for us to even first start acknowledging that we actually need support and that we need to do that necessary shift. It's so important that we actually acknowledge, because lots of people are actually living in denial. They don't actually believe that there is an issue, Dawn. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, often we'll say, oh, I'm fed up, I'm tired, I'm weary. I'll go to the doctor and get some pills, or I'll take my, what is it? You know, little pills that you take for headaches. And we don't acknowledge it's because we're in this transition, or we're in this torment, or whatever it is you call it in your head.
Yeah.
We just take a quick fix to make it feel better in the moment, but we don't work through it.
Yeah, we don't work through it. And it's so important to work through it. And so this morning, if you're listening to the show, you're tuned into the Angela Lee Show, and it's our spiritual and well-being show. And this morning we're talking about timings and seasons. And it's so important that we align ourselves to that, particularly because it is actually a natural thing that happens in the environment, Dawn.
It's absolutely natural. And, you know, we talk about the environment and nature, and we can see that visually in front of us. But I think because it's in our head, we don't see it.
Yeah.
We kind of just get deeper and deeper into it. And, you know, we don't know that there was a choice often. We don't know there's a choice to jump out of that ship and go into a new season.
Yes. And it's so important that we do that this morning. And so if you're listening to the show, let us know how you are doing. If you're struggling with the season that you're in, let's have a conversation this morning, because, you know, we like to have a conversation. And so each season of life teaches us lessons about ourselves, other people, and life in general. So each season that we're transitioning to or from is actually teaching us lessons about ourselves and about other people. And it's also equally telling us about lessons about life in general. And so we are actually learning a lesson here, and it's teaching us. And this helps us to transform psychologically, physically, and socially, because we are actually learning a life. You know, Dawn, your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Can I add to that? Spiritually, I think
Absolutely.
the soul is growing as well. And I think, you know, when we're moving forward, it's listening to your body. It tells you when it's time to move on. If your body's in disharmony with who you should be, that's when this is a good time to change. You know, it's not about waiting until you're deeper in it, which what we often do, because then we feel unwell.
Yeah.
It's about going, do you know what? This feels like there's something to do here. Why is this happening? And how can I do it? You know, what's this new season going to bring for me? What's my potential? Yeah. What's my possibility?
Very important, Dawn. Yes. Listen to our body.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's telling us something, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's the disharmony we feel. I don't know about you, Angela. Do you have mood swings? Or am I the only one?
I don't know. No, I mean, when I used to suffer from depression, I used to have mood swings.
Okay.
But what I'm quite aware of is that if I have a thought shift, and that thought shift is actually on a low vibration, then that can impact on my mood. And so I'm quite mindful of what I'm thinking about. And as soon as I start thinking about a low vibration, whether it's experience or whatever I'm feeling, I tend to self-talk and myself out of that and try and think of a nice positive experience so that it's not going to impact my mood.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so, that's how I manage that. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay.
And so lots of people, have mood shifts, and it's our body actually telling us something, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, for me, I tend to be quite level-headed at the moment. Not all the time. I have moments, as they say, but I tend to listen to when I feel what I'd call flat or disheartened.
Yeah.
And that's when I need to adjust something. And I think the more we're moving through these seasons are coming. These times in our life for learning are coming and going a lot quicker. So we need to be more aware.
That's right. Yeah, because the seasons are going so quick.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Is this year gone by quick, or is that my imagination?
Oh, it has gone quick. Yeah, we say this every year. It does go quick. We're now in June already. Yeah.
And each of those seasons in our life, as I'm 62 now, and I just think, my God, my life is going so quickly. So it's important to acknowledge everything that's important in our lives, and these seasons are important in our lives. They're an important part of our evolving, who we're meant to be, the lessons that we need. who we're meant to have in our lives at the moment, and the time when it is to let them go. And I don't say forever, because sometimes these people, we need to just gently love them, leave them in that space, and they come back into our lives at a later period.
Yes.
When we're in a different place as well.
Absolutely, yes. And so timings and seasons are so important, and that's what we're talking about this morning, because as we mentioned, each season of life is teaching us a lesson about ourselves, about other people, and about life in general. And sometimes we outgrow situations, we outgrow people, because as Dawn says, that perhaps it's not as if you're not going to be with this person or be with these people or collaborate and partner with these people or be a part of of your family, etc., or friendship group. But it's perhaps both of you need to work on certain aspects of your life or your mindset, and you will meet again if you are supposed to be together, and then you can carry on your journey. And so life in general, so it teaches us lessons of life in general. Dawn, do you want to say something?
It takes a moment, sometimes my brain processing. I was in another thought pattern there, so I'm being patient with myself today.
That's good. Okay, so they help us to transform psychologically, physically, and socially each season.
Okay, so if we gently, I think the first thing is to acknowledge where we're at.
Yes, we mentioned that, and we're going to go through some steps at the end. Yes, so very important
for ourselves. It's looking forward to something that I want to achieve.
Yes.
For what could be in the next season, when I realize that the old season is kind of coming to an end, I feel disharmony with that. What wants to go for next? What's my next goal? What's my next step?
Yes, and visualize yourself.
Vision myself and there, got my little vision board up there, and write things down and put down my ideas and my thoughts, and then my mind is starting to look towards the future, and it helps me make that transition from there to there.
Yes, because you're looking forward.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to next season. It's so exciting because so many things are happening that I already know what's happening. I've set my goals and my intentions early on in the year, certain things that I wanted to actually put in place, and I'm happy that there's two major things that are actually happening in the fall, and I'm excited about that, and there's going to be amazing things happening because I set that intention and I took proactive action towards that to realize that dream, and and I kept making those positive affirmations and those necessary mantras, and the universe conspired with me, and it's going to happen in the fall. And so transition and seasons, they help us to transform psychologically, physically, and socially. They strengthen our souls and our resilience and our spirits in the face of adversity. Each season of life, it strengthens our soul, our resilience, and our spirits in the face of adversity. And I tell you, I've been through some seasons that were quite stormy, quite challenging, and you just have to keep steadfast. As you said, keep that vision ahead of you, that vision board, because you know that you're aiming for something in the midst of your storm. You know that something is going to be manifested, and so it's so important that these seasons, they're actually equipping us, aren't they, Dawn?
Oh, definitely. They're, everything that we've been through in life, I don't think it happens by coincidence. I think it happens because it's part of our plan that we need to help us grow to who we're meant to be.
Absolutely.
And what we're destined to do. Absolutely. I think what happens often, that, is we get so stuck in there that what's gone wrong becomes what we identify ourselves with.
Yes, absolutely. And so this morning, if you are stuck this morning, we're going to Dawn's going to do an exercise that we can practice before she leaves us, and it's so important that we are aware of this morning of timings and seasons. And so we celebrate when we succeed and we complain when we fail, but eventually we start to really consider who we are, what we want out of life, and how we want to move forward with each moment onwards. And so when we take stock of last season, we now consider what we want and how we want life to be and how we want to move forward. We actually take stock. And the seasons of life shape our character, and they lay the framework for the life we have ahead of us.
Yeah.
So they're laying the framework for the life that we want ahead of us.
Yeah.
They help us to evolve as humans.
Definitely, most definitely. Yeah.
And so,
I
Dawn,
think that was one of the valuable things. I think I actually, in the past, when I was depressed and suffering with anxiety, I actually thought that's who I was.
mm-hmm.
And when, what you've just said there is like, that is, all of that was the framework for what I'm destined to do. And so sometimes looking back and seeing the blessings within that last season or that season from your childhood can actually help you to be in the moment, just live in the moment and see who you've become. And I always say, anybody, just look back and see who you've become because of that awful situation that you've been through.
That
Look at what
challenging
you've learned.
situation.
Look at how you've grown.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can second that. And so, Dawn, if you want to do that little exercise before you go, and because Dawn's going to help listeners out there on whether you're listening on the airwaves this morning or on ellensoulradio.com, Facebook Live, or on the YouTube channel, that's Angeli, you can actually take stock. And as I mentioned, Dawn is the author of Free to Be Me.
Excellent. Thank you. Can I just share a little tip, which for me actually was a real lifesaver at the time because I was suffering with panic attacks. And I think often when we're trying to project something and make it happen, we get impatient with ourselves and that increases the anxiety inside. And tapping on the side of my hand. So although I feel anxious for myself or impatient or uptight, whatever your words are, I feel at peace with myself and I'm loving myself. I love and respect myself right now. And just gently tapping into that space and just letting yourself go, it's okay that I'm in this, and not pushing yourself to be something else.
Yeah.
Start right where you're at right now. And that tapping on the side of my hand, and I used to tap every hour at the beginning just to get myself through that transition period. Just breathing, just gently breathing. And that's the only focus that's important right now. My breath and the tapping and the words that I'm using that will lead me from this place to a calmer place. And then when I'd done that, I know that I couldn't get from that mindset to that mindset without help. So writing things down, and then I'd take my hand and this is part of brain gym. Okay, so I'd imagine a figure 8 on my forehead. And I know when I'm worrying or I'm stuck in a season, I can't get from my logic brain to my more creative brain. So by just connecting the left and right brain and just do it as a gentle meditation. So just gently going into your breath, Angela. Just focus on your breath and just feeling, let your eyes go from left to right. Just left to right. So you're using your eye movement, which helps with stress, trauma, release anxiety, tension. And you're actually encouraging your brain to go from the left to connect to your right brain so you can see a solution and a way forward. Maybe memories come in where you're still irritated about them, and it's okay. I feel safe to go through this. I feel safe to let it go now. I can see more clearly. And so it's in the words that you start to use that helps your brain to start connecting with a pattern that will lead you forward. And just gently, every so often in your mind, even if you can't sit in the middle of an office or maybe on a train or something doing that, you could actually just think of a figure 8 and see it connecting whenever you recognize that you've been a little bit stuck. Or you can just tap on your hand. I am feeling safe. Even though I'm going through this anxiety, I am feeling safe today. I can see things more clearly now. And you're giving your mind permission to let go and move forward. And it's such a gentle transition that often we don't see the huge change at once. but we're moving within ourselves, the way we feel about life, then that can take us gently into that next step. And, take a moment then to write down an inspiration or an idea that comes to your mind. It's such a gentle process, and it needs to be that gentle process. Remember, your body, if it's gone through trauma, it's still having the impact of that trauma.
Yes.
So tapping helps to reset the neurological lines in your body and taps into your meridians. And figure 8 helps to start producing soft, gentle chemicals that will heal and release you from the past.
Great. Yeah, thank you. That's so powerful. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to practice that exercise for those that have listened to us on the show this morning. And so, yeah, timings and seasons.
Timings and seasons.
Timings and seasons, so important. Now, during spring, we start to consider who we are, where we come from, what we want, how we want to move forward. And this season starts to shape our character, as we mentioned, and it's laying the groundwork for the life we're going to experience. Spring marks the beginning of our evolving lives. One of the actions that you can take to get the most of the spring season is to take care of your body.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you look after you, then you're stronger to move into everything else. It all begins with you valuing yourself.
Absolutely.
Can I just share a little exercise I love doing? This is just me. I'm a bit of a daydream, and I love walking out in nature. So when I'm walking, I tend to think, what color am I drawn to today? And then I resonate with that color. And like last week, I was seeing purple. It was lilac. And I was seeing this lilac all the way up the lane, and I'm thinking, oh, that's lovely. What's it telling me? And I was breathing that color into my mind. And as I was breathing that, they're saying, see things from a higher perspective, Dawn. It's not your fault. And I'm like, okay, so what am I taking responsibility for? When you start focusing on something creative, like on the colors, and resonating with those higher vibrations, your mind starts then giving you solutions.
Yeah.
You feel like you're resonating on that vibration instead of down in the pile of manure.
Yes. Absolutely. Thank you, Dawn, for sharing that. And so we're talking about seasons and we're talking about timings this morning. And it's so important that we align ourselves or we shift our mindset as we're making that transition, because we've already discussed that this transition is a normal transition because it happens in nature, it occurs in nature, and it's a normal transition. And so your thoughts will begin to transition, and your decisions and your actions will push you into the next season of your life. So it's your thoughts, they will begin to transition. So it's so important to have that mindset shift. It's your thoughts that will begin to transition. Very important to have that mindset shift. Otherwise, you're not going to make that transition. And it's going to help your decisions, and it's going to push you into taking that necessary action that you need to take for the next season of your life. Because this transition, it happens naturally anyway.
Yeah.
And it happens, and it's based on the results of the values and the beliefs that you've cultivated in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you, Angela. And, a lot of people will say, oh, I tried that, but we don't stick at it persistently enough. And what I would say is if you find yourself feeling, having mood swings, or you're feeling constantly tired, stressed, angry, agitated, whatever you're feeling, take a moment or, a moment throughout the day. And I would say a moment throughout the day, because we need to be honest about what it is we're saying to ourselves.
Yes.
Because some people, when I say, come on, get more positive or say something nice to yourself, they say, yeah, I will for a moment. And then they slip back into the old.
Yeah.
For me, I took, take most of my students through, write down what you say to yourself every day. And then come back to it tomorrow morning and look at it. And is this helping or is this hindering? Would I say this to my best friend?
Yeah.
If it's not helping, that's the pattern you need to work with today. And change one pattern at a time.
Yes. if
You know,
it's not
because
happening.
to say that we're going to change our thought pattern, you know, if we've been stuck in there for 60 years, that's a lot of change. Change one thought at a time, and you will start to
Yeah.
see the benefits actually quite quickly.
Yes.
And then you change the next pattern, and then you change the next pattern, and create an affirmation that will support you through that. So every day I'm making changes. I am feeling great today. And something that simple.
Yeah.
You're
Thank
giving
you.
your mind a belief to follow.
Great. Thank you for that, Dawn. Good morning, Gaffer. How you doing, Kevin? I was listening to your showcase last night up until the morning. I tell you, it was amazing with little Minty. Oh my God, it was enjoyable last night. I don't know how I'm up today, Gaffer. I don't know how I'm up. It was amazing. Dawn, thank you very much for joining us. As always, thank you so much. Dawn's going to be joining us every Sunday. We do our little chat about whatever we're going to be talking about. And Dawn, do you want to share a bit about your book again, Dawn? Free to be Me.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's my book, Free to Be Me. And this is full of, oops, which way we go? Ideas, tips, and natural ways that you can help yourself. Because sometimes we just need a guide. And it's funny, when I was thinking about the show today, I opened up a page and it says, become true to yourself. And I think that's what each season of your life is about. Become true to yourself as you are in this season.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dawn. How
So
powerful.
it's available on Amazon as an ebook as well. And, you know, if you are ready to make changes, please step in and help yourself, because only you can take control of that.
Only you. Thank you, Dawn. See you next week, Dawn.
Thanks so much.
You.
Thank you, Angela.
My pleasure. And you. Thank you. And so your thoughts will begin to transition, and your decisions and your actions will push you into the next season of your life. This transition happens naturally. So it happens naturally as a result of your values and your beliefs. And so as you're transitioning from season to season, it's actually going to be activated by your actions. But the bedrock of your actions is going to be profoundly based on your values and your beliefs. And so if you are not valuing yourself, as you make that transition, it's going to impact on your next season. So you need to take stock. You need to check yourself. You need to reflect. You need to observe your values, your beliefs. You need to cultivate those values and those beliefs in your mind as you're making that transition. As I mentioned, that now we're in summer. The transition may have its ups and downs. However, it's temporal, and it will pass. But however, what's really crucial is that you make the transition. And as I mentioned, that we're now in summer and it's summertime. And summertime is a life for rewards, celebration, and purpose. Summertime. This is when you are becoming a professional in your career. Summertime. Or whether you're going to get married, whether you're going to start a family, or whether you're setting or achieving goals. Summertime. And objectives, while enjoying your life to the fullest. And so you are setting goals, you are setting objectives. You know, it's time to celebrate. And in the summer, we go hard. We produce and we create and we innovate. In the summer, we go hard, we go in. And we create and we innovate. This is the season to create your legacy. Summertime, it's the season to create your legacy. Who are you going to be? Who are you serving? What will you leave behind? Summertime, it's the time when we go in, when we go hard, when we create, when we innovate. And so this morning, I want you to take stock and to be mindful of your beliefs and your values, because that's what's essentially driving your action in terms of when you make that transition to the other season. And so, as we mentioned, we're going hard in the summertime. We're being creative, we're being innovative, we're producing all the things that we have actually set our intentions in the early part of 2021 in terms of what we're going to achieve. And so we're going hard on that. And so during summertime, you'll find yourself networking and meeting new people. And we know that the COVID Freedom Day is actually going to be on the 19th of July, we hope. And so some of us are going to be traveling, and some of us have already traveled. Some of us are going to be going on holiday, whether it's amber, red, or green, wherever that looks like. We're going to be traveling. We're going to be sort of get involved in leisure, because obviously the gyms have been opening early in the spring of this year. And so some of us are doing leisure activities. And in the summertime, we want to take risks. We want to be more proactive. We're getting outside of our comfort zones during the summertime. And as I said, particularly as we're going to be facing our supposedly Freedom Day, we're going to be taking more risk. We're going to be doing things outside our comfort zone. And particularly because lots of us have lost loved ones and we're not taking life for granted. And so we're going to enjoy every moment. We're going to live in the present moment. And so we're going to be thinking more creatively. And we're going to have much more optimism in terms of what our expectations are. Summertime. It's time for us to go in on that plan, to action that plan, to action that goal. And I can see that Gaffer has actually created some Gaffer blue cups, cottery, and you can actually order that. And so he's taken action. He's gone in with his Sunday shows and his Thursday evening shows. So he's actually taken action and he's gone in on that. And you can see that action being manifested. And so it's now time, summertime, it's time for you to go in. It's time for you to action your plans that you've set, your intentions. It's time for you to step out of your comfort zone. Now that we're going to meet Freedom Day, it's time for you to be creative, to be optimistic. And we can't stay stuck in the old season anymore. We have to keep it moving. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, we tend to outgrow people. We tend to outgrow mindsets that are still stuck in the past or in the last season. So we become irritated and agitated with the same old vicious cycles. And so we outgrow people. We have seasonal friends, or perhaps, as we mentioned earlier on, perhaps the timing is wrong in terms of that collaboration. The timing is perhaps wrong. And it's not that you're not going to actually be working or partnering with people. It's just that the timing is not right now. And so we need to be in step with what time of day it is, what season we're in. We need to be in step with that. And so I'm just going to share a couple of actions that we can take to get the most out of this summer season in your life. And as I mentioned, it's so important that our summer season, we're actually going in on our dreams. We're going to start producing stuff. We're going to establish who's that niche market. Who are we serving? What's our purpose in life? Why are we doing this? We're going to be sort of asking ourselves, what is our why? We're going to be asking ourselves, what are we going to be leaving behind? Spring's gone. It's now summertime. What are you going to be leaving behind? Because you cannot carry things of the old season into the new season. Otherwise, it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be chaotic. Think about the bird kingdom and the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. Things will get chaotic, manic, if the seasons are mixed up. People will be confused. Good morning, Angie Hayes. People will be confused. And so it's so important that we are in step with what time of day it is. We need to be in step, and we cannot continue patterns and habits of the last season, and we expect our new season to look different. We're going to have a repeat of the old season if we are not making that necessary shift. we need to make changes. And as I said, that transition starts with our mindset. The transition starts with the thought process. Our mindset shift. That's when things start to change. Before we can take that readily action, it starts with our thought process. And it starts, as I mentioned, essentially with our thoughts, our beliefs, our values. You deserve better. You deserve much better than what you're getting. You deserve much better than this. Our values, our beliefs. We need to make that necessary shift, as we mentioned in the show. And so, as we mentioned, when we're not willing to repeat those same vicious cycles and handing our hearts to those who don't know how to catch it, we choose ourselves even when people don't choose us. We're willing to make that necessary shift. We outgrow those who don't make us feel like they're glad that they've actually found us. As we mentioned earlier on in the show, we outgrow these people. We outgrow those who don't value us the way we want to be valued. And the truth is, as we mentioned, and I will reiterate again, we're capable of giving someone we love the world, but what we really need, essentially need, is that reassurance that they won't abuse it, and that our hearts are secured with them, and that they won't turn into a lie or mistake. However, as we make that shift, and I mentioned that shift, it mirrors the human transitions through the 4 seasons of life, which are each associated with the specific psychological and physical state of being. And so it's actually nothing new, because nature, the environment, are all conducive with this transition that is so critical to make as the seasons change, and as we transform from one season to the next. Our circumstances and our needs and our mindsets and our actions have to evolve, just like the transition that occurs in the environment. Our circumstances change. Many of us have faced difficult circumstances last season. This season, it's springtime, things are blooming. You're going in, you're going hard on your dream, and many people's circumstances have actually changed. You've probably got that job. You've probably changed your career. You've probably started that business. So circumstances and your needs change, your mindsets and your actions, they have to evolve as the seasons change, just like the transitions that occur in the environment. They have to change, or otherwise you're going to remain stuck, and people are going to leave you. And so the mindset allows us to make the possible use of what we have, rather than resisting those natural transitions. And so if you are listening today and you are resisting those natural transitions that are so critical for change, for you to evolve, if you're resisting it, you're actually going against the natural part of nature. If you're resisting it, you're going against something that's actually natural. If you're resisting it, and if you're resisting it, it can actually lead to psychological struggles, that you're warring with yourself. You're not happy with yourself. You're weakening your capacity for happiness and living that fulfilled life, because you're resisting the natural transition for change. If something keeps coming up, if you keep revisiting, if you keep tripping on the same thing, it means that you need to make that change. Instead of resisting it, you need to make that change. If it keeps repeating, if it keeps showing up in your life, it means that you need to make that change. And as Dawn was mentioning earlier on in the show, start writing a list of the things that you tell yourself. Your self-talk, your auto-suggestion. Start looking at the things that you tell yourself and ask yourself, is this actually helping me? Because the seasons, as we mentioned, it actually shapes our character and it lays the framework for life as we move ahead to the new season that we're in, summertime. The seasons of life, they shape our character. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Angie, again. The seasons of life, they change our character. All the stuff that you actually went through and you experienced in the last season, it actually shaped your character. And so it's important that you make that necessary mind shift. You can't stay stuck in the last season, because your thoughts will begin to transition and your decisions and your actions will push you into the next season of your life. And so whether you like it or not, as in nature, the seasons shift and your thoughts will begin to transition. So you need to make that shift. You need, so that your actions can actually be in alignment with your thought process in terms of the season that you're in. You know what time of day it is. We're now in summer. What if we all dressed up in winter wear, hats, gloves? I know that the weather has changed somewhat, but what if we all dressed up in winter wear and the sun was actually scorching hot? People will look at us and think, Mike, what's happening here? Are these people from a different planet? Because it's actually scorching hot and they're in their winter wear. So you'll actually appear confusing. You'd probably be looked at as a misfit. So it's chaotic, it's confusing if you don't make that necessary shift in the normal environment, let alone in your mindset, in terms of making that transition for that better life. And it's profoundly based on your values and your beliefs that you have. You might say to yourself that, you know what, I'm not going to be stuck in this situation anymore. I'm not going to be repeating this situation anymore. I'm not going to be facilitating this friendship anymore. I'm not going to be facilitating this partnership or this collaboration anymore. It's not working for me. And so you need to make that shift, or you're going to remain stuck, or you're going to repeat that cycle. And you ask yourself, why ain't things working for me? Because you haven't made that mindset shift. You have to set your intentions. You've got to set your intentions. Write down the list of your goals that you wrote down at the beginning of this year, that you said that this is what you want to achieve, your goals, your plans. Have a look at it. Reflect on it. This is where you said you want to be in the half of this year. We're now in June. We've got 6 months. We're in July, sorry. We've got 6 months left. It's summertime. Look at your goals at the beginning of the year. Are you where you want to be? And if you're not, then make that shift, make that transition, because it's summertime. It's time to celebrate. It's time to make that progression. It's time to make that transition. And this transition, as we mentioned, it happens naturally. It's a natural transition based on your values and your beliefs. Cultivating in your mind the transition, it would have ups and downs. However, those ups and downs, those challenges, they're only temporary. But you need to make that shift. And so, summertime, it's time for rewards. And as I mentioned, I'm looking at the fall. I'm looking at the next season, and it's going to be looking good for me because I've already been able to accomplish a few things on my to-do list, on my plan, on my goal, and on my vision board. The autumn, I'm looking forward for the fall because I know that I'm going to be in a different season. Different things are going to be happening for me. So I'm excited. What are you excited about? Summertime, time to celebrate. Time to celebrate that you've actually achieved your purpose. You've actually achieved half of your goals. And so this morning, I just want to share some actions, some proactive actions that we can actually take, that we can actually do to get the most of this summer season in your life. So if you're listening, these are some proactive actions that you can take in order to enjoy the most of your summer season. And so let's start to engage in proper planning and preparation for the future as we reach in the second half of the year. We're in summer. And so to prepare for the next season, the autumn season, the fall, let's engage in some proper planning and preparation for the future. Let's make sure that you're making well thought out decisions. This isn't the time to be impulsive, as you may have been doing during the spring. So it's no time to be impulsive, to be a reactionary. It's time to actually have some thought out decisions as you plan for the future, as you plan for the next season. You're not repeating the past of the last season. And do a sufficient amount of self-reflection. This will help you to correct your path. If there are any potential missteps that you have started to take, self-reflection is so key. Reflect on your life. And I was talking to a friend and we were chatting about, how we've, self-reflect and we've reflected about how past decisions that we've taken has impacted on our present and how important it is to actually, really think about those thought out decisions and so that we don't repeat the patterns of the past. That we visualize where we want to be. And so if you want that new career for the next fall, and if you want that new partner for the next fall, and if you want that new house for the next fall, or that new job, or that new business, you need to prepare your plan precisely and visualize yourself achieving it. Visualize yourself in that new business. Visualize yourself in that new home. Visualize yourself with that new partner. Because when you visualize and you set your vibrations and you have this sense of expectancy, then the universe is going to conspire with you to bring that into manifestation. And so you have to set the frequency of your expectations, of your visualizations. It's got to be set on the right frequency level so that you're able to expect and you're able to manifest that. And so it's so important that you write that list. And so if you want a partner that is wealthy, or that is loyal, or that is reliable, or that is romantic, or if you want that job that is near home and that has a flexible type of working and that pays that good salary, and if you want that partnership where people are vibing on the same level and they are creative, then you need to visualize that and expect that. And we need to prevent ourselves, restricting ourselves to that limiting belief that we don't deserve that. That limiting belief that keeps us trapped because our mother didn't have that, our father didn't have that, our sisters didn't have that, my family don't have that. And so we have entrapped ourselves with that limiting belief that this is what we deserve, that we don't deserve anything better. And so it's so important that we do this self-reflection, that we stop ourselves from activating this limiting belief, because the laws of nature will give us exactly what we believe. Whatever we put out there, the laws of nature is going to give us back. And so if we're thinking that we don't deserve anything, then guess what? The laws of nature, the universe is going to give us what we don't deserve, because that's exactly what we're expecting. And so we need to change our mindset. We need to do the necessary shift this morning to enable that for the next half of 2021, we're going to be celebrating this summer. We're going to be giving ourselves some rewards this summer. We're going to congratulate ourselves this summer that we can actually see the evidence, the manifestation of our why, the manifestation of our purpose, the manifestation of, why we're here. So important. Otherwise, life isn't worth living if we're not living our purpose. And as I mentioned, it's based on our set of values. It's based on our belief systems. It's based on the things that we're telling ourselves. And so we need to check ourselves, this self-reflection. We need to rein in the reins in terms of our thinking process and make that necessary shift. As we're approaching the autumn, the fall, we should have already been actioning and celebrating those plans that's going to materialize in the fall. And so for those that are listening on the airways or on Facebook Live or on the YouTube channel, it's so important that we make the right preparation. I'm just going to go over those steps quickly before I go this morning. And I'm hoping that you found the show beneficial. And so, as we're facing a shift in terms of society, in terms of the environment that we're living in, we're facing a shift. We're facing a transition in the environment, because we are transitioning from an environment of complete lockdown into a transition of freedom on the 19th. And so if we are stuck in this lockdown mentality where we are going to entrap ourselves and we're going to restrict ourselves in our mindset, that because we've been living for the past 2 years under these restrictions, we have restricted ourselves in our mindset and we're not prepared to take that risk. However, things are changing in the world, in our environment. We're transitioning on the 19th to Freedom Day, hopefully, where we're not going to be restricted. The things that we've done last season or in the past seasons during lockdown, we're not going to be wearing face masks, and whether people agree with that concept or not, we're not going to be practicing social distancing. We're free to go on holidays within the various criterias or what is expected. We're free to go to raves. We're free to go to dances, musical events. We're free to have more people attend our funerals. We're free to meet up with people. I mean, we've got England playing tonight, and let's hope they bring it home. But they have over 60,000 fans or more going to Wembley tonight as England plays against Italy. And so that's a transition where past seasons that was not able to happen because we were under a restrictive season. And so seasons change and we need to move with the change. We need to transition with the change of seasonal changes. Otherwise we're going to remain stuck. We're going to be seen as a misfit. Just imagine if we can all go out and and things have changed, and we're still at home, cooped up, thinking that our mindset is still on lockdown mode mindset. And so it's so important for us to be in tune and evolve and move with the transition of change. We need to get out of our comfort zone this morning as you're listening. And so these are some actions that you need to take. I want to reiterate these actions, reinforce these actions that you can take before I go this morning. We need to engage in proper planning and preparation for the future. And I know lots of people have seen so many changing circumstances, particularly in the climate that we're living in, COVID and the Delta, a new Delta virus. And we've seen so many things impact on our circumstances of life. And so it's so important for us to make the proper planning and preparation as we are facing a new season, that we make proper planning, that we make sure that we have thought out decisions, that we're not reactionaries, that we don't act impulsively, that we reflect. Self-reflection. Instead of looking at other people, reflect on yourself. Sort out your own stuff. There's lots of people out there, busybodies, busy looking at other people's lives and judging people. Start reflecting on yourself. Start making a list and look at your plan and see, where are you at? Have you achieved your goals? Are you living your purpose? Are you living your why? Take your eyes off everyone else and do some self-reflection. What are the things that I need to do to change? What are the things that I need to stop doing? What are the limiting beliefs that I need to stop telling myself? Let's start looking at ourselves instead of looking at other people and take the appropriate, necessary action to avoid potential missteps, to avoid potential cycles. We need to evolve. We need to grow. We need to stretch ourselves. And so as I leave you this morning, because I'm closing at 10:30 this morning. As I leave you this morning, I want you to just take stock of self. Take stock of self and make the necessary changes that you need to do. And thank you, Jackie. She said it's a powerful show. Thank you very much for listening. And I just want to thank all those listeners that have listened on the thread this morning, that have engaged in the conversations this morning. Just want to say thank you to you, Jackie, Dawn. Thank you, Dawn, for joining me this morning, to Gaffer Blue, to William Derrick, to Carl that joined earlier on in the morning. Just want to thank you, all those that listened on the airways, ellensoulradio.com. For those that have tuned into the YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe. And if you've missed the show, then you can replay. You can have a replay and you can listen again. And let's make those necessary changes. Otherwise, we're going to have a repeat of the last season. And I'm going to congratulate myself because I've managed to achieve something that a couple of things that I've planned at the beginning of the year, that I've set an intention to achieve, and I'm going to reward myself for achieving that. I'm celebrating. I've managed to achieve a couple of things that are going to be manifested in the next season, in the fall, and I'm ecstatic about it. I'm happy about it because I was able to change my mindset, my thought processes. I was able to make that shift, that mindset shift. And as I mentioned, that we might find ourselves losing some people, those who talk the talk but can't walk the walk. When we need them to be beside us, we're going to start losing those people. We're going to outgrow people that are not genuine for the next season. Those who are not able to appreciate and value us. Those who don't care about our wants and our needs because they're too busy focusing on their own. We're going to outgrow these people this season. They're not going to be, possibly they're not going to be with us for the next season because timings and seasons change. And so I just want to encourage you to make those necessary changes. And I'm going to see you again next week, Saturday and Sunday, between the hours of 9 and 11. Don't forget to get Dawn's book, Free to Be Me. You can get it on Amazon. And also, you can also get my book, Is Life a Cruise? You can get it on Amazon Kindle. You can download it. And I also have some copies, still got some copies here. And it talks about making that transition. It talks about encouraging you to go through as you sail on your journey, on your ship, that you are the master of your ship. You are the master of your destiny. And as you sail through the storms and the adversity and the challenges and the transitions of life, you're able to make that shift. So you can get this book, Is Life a Cruise, on Amazon.com. I've got a couple of copies that you can actually send me a message if you want a copy. And be good to yourself and make those necessary changes. And don't sell yourself short this morning. This week, don't sell yourself short. Know that you deserve the best. You deserve the best. You deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve to be valued. Don't sell yourself short this morning. And I'm going to see you next week. We've got Anthony B joining me straight after with his 80s show this morning. So keep it locked to ellensoulradio.com. We've also got On the Sofa with Esther. And we've also got the Reggae Show with Charmaine X today. So keep it locked to ellensoulradio.com. And we've also got the Junster Position Debate. And so there's lots of activities going on the station this morning. Good morning, Judy. You can actually listen to the replay. Good morning to you, because we're closing the show now. So listen to the replay. Have a great Sunday. Be good to yourself. Grow, stretch, evolve, even if it's combined with some ups and downs, some challenges. And if you find, as I mentioned, if you find things repeating itself, if things keep coming back in your life, it means that instead of resisting, you need to make the necessary changes. Otherwise, you're going to get a repeat of the next season. So be good to yourself. Take care of yourself. And I will see you this time next week. Have a great Sunday. Have a great Sunday. I'm celebrating this Sunday. Have a great Sunday. Have a great Sunday. If I ever took a loss, I learned a lesson. I won't ever think I'm better than the next man. I've been down before to come up out these stress. Baby, I'm too busy counting all these blessings. I put my girl